in 400 trillion. Those were the odds of you being born as a human being. Now, think to yourself, have you ever taken a decision that's even remotely close to those odds? No, you're not going to take that risk. Even though the universe took the risk of making you alive. Why is that? Because since the get-go, we've been programmed to take the safer route. Always take the chance which is more likely to succeed. But over the past few years, things have started changing. Once in a while, someone's going to come around and do something that doesn't make sense, and in the end up succeeding. Things are changing. And I'm here today to share some stories of myself that led me to this change. Because stories have a weird way of making you learn something without actually sounding like a lesson. And the first story I want to share with you is the one that started when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I used to love playing cricket. Like every day at 5 p.m., like an alarm clock, I would run to the balcony and I would scream all my friends' names that you have to be down right now. Even if in the morning I made up an excuse to not go to school. I was ready at 5. And I actually thought I was really good. And I thought it was my responsibility to tell my dad that you should do something about this before this talent is gone. But then I never had that conversation with him. And the reason was that another friend of mine who was 2 years older than me, he came up to me and said, "Oh, you wanted to be a cricketer? But you're 9. I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "But you need to do that at 7. 7 is the right age for you to follow your dreams." And I was devastated. How can this happen? I just missed my calling by 2 years. But how devastated can a 9-year-old really be? It's too distracting. So I went on. I went to the normal route of being an academic. And now I have to be honest here. Until the last pre-board that I gave at 12, I went from being a mediocre student to a really bad student. I was basically failing all my subjects apart from English, because that's an ego thing. And then something happened. The CEO of the school called all the 12th graders into the room, and he gave what was supposed to be a really inspirational speech. And I come out of the room and I look at my friends. You didn't buy that, did you? We're not going to start studying. And they looked at me like, you are the bad influence that my mom was talking about. And these kids who were wiping their hands on notes after eating started studying at 2 a.m. And that boarding school is not like now. We didn't have phones, internet, laptops. You just either had to study or just look at everyone else studying. So I started studying out of peer pressure, because there was nothing else to do. And somehow, in just 2 months of studying, from failing all my subjects apart from English, I ended up getting around 85%. Now, before this 2-month thing happened, I used to always think that when I was 9, if I just, I was supposed to be a sports person. Why did I study? That's why I'm not doing well. And now suddenly I've got an 85%, which is not 95%, by the way. It's 85%. And I'm thinking, maybe I was actually smart. And if I just tried harder, I could have been getting those top schools in Delhi and having such a great life. But life was about to happen now. I went to Pune, and after 2 years, I had an accident. I couldn't write my exam. And then I made this crazy decision of dropping out and going and pursuing my studies in Singapore. And after 2 years, which is now 4 years into education, my family ran out of money, and we had to come back. And now suddenly, I think this is the worst time. But then I get a slip disc, and I'm paralyzed for like 6 months, bedridden. And somehow, through distance education, I graduate, and I realize that I am 6 years behind everyone. And there is absolutely no way that I'm going to be doing anything good with my life. I'll always be the cautionary tale. But somehow, I did graduate. Then I cleared CFA level 1 just to tell myself again that, okay, you're still smart. And then I got a job. And job went fine. It was not a bad job. It was one of the big fours. And I graduated I got promoted every single year. I even got a double promotion here. But I always remember feeling that I'm never really going to make it back to the race. I'm never going to be at the front. But then one very amazing thing happened because of that job. The nature of my job actually made me travel a lot. And if there's one thing that you will ever learn in your life, is that whenever you get a chance, travel. Whether you like it or don't like it, I don't care. Force yourself to travel. And here is why. Everything around you, every decision that you think you have taken has been carefully crafted into society to bring you exactly where you are. But nobody thought of travel. Travel is that one thing that is outside of the system. And what happens when you're traveling is that suddenly your brain is not thinking about all the things it's always thinking. Suddenly it's thinking about you. And that is when you make one of the craziest decisions of your life. You have these self-realization moments. And that's when it hit me. That before I got those marks, I used to think, oh, I should have taken that chance at 9. And then when I was 24, I thought to myself, I was sad at 85%. Look at my life right now. It's finished. And then when I was in my job, and I was thinking that, man, you were 24. 24, you can literally conquer the world. What were you thinking? Why were you so depressed? And then just when I was thinking, should I quit my job and make travel my profession? That's when it hit me, that what if 6 years from now, I look back and tell myself that why didn't you take that chance right then? And I was not okay with that. I could not have another moment of feeling that I missed out. So I made a plan, I quit my job, and I became a travel influencer. And trust me, there are some months where I make more money than I made when I was working for the firm. But in reality, I could actually only do this because I found my passion. And finding your passion is a really hot topic. And how does one find their passion? Now, when I was young, I used to think that I'm going to tell my mom that I'm going to go inside that room right now. I don't want water. I don't want food. Do not disturb me. I'm going to go in this trance state right now, and all these ideas are going to come to me, and I'm going to come out, and I'm going to have my purpose. That didn't happen. Because the truth is that passion is not a location on Google Maps which you can put in your life and just follow it. You can't. You think you want to be an actor, and then you start doing it, and you're like, this is so fake. This doesn't make me happy. You think from the outside that this is really cool. Because our nature is such that whatever you do in life, if you do it enough times, you're going to start hating it. We are not designed for monotonous thing. We don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why companies try to shift people around so people don't, just move out. But then that's the thing. The only way to find it is be that remote control car that used to come long back, which used to hit an obstacle and then just turn around. And it would hit another obstacle and it would turn around until it would find its way. What that means in real life terms is that you have to keep trying different things. You have to keep trying, and you have to be ready to be a quitter. Now, I know everybody tells you that work hard, go for it, but who are you really serving that way if it's not you? But there's a problem with this whole strategy of quitting things. First of all, that all your peers, everyone who you compare yourself to, who are going to be following the societal norms, they're going to go ahead of you. Because you are just going to be quitting one thing, trying something else, while you're finding yourself, the world is looking at you as the guy who didn't make it. But the solution to that is the realization that everyone at some point in their life gets that everyone who you think you're competing with actually does not exist for you 10 years down the line. Because life is so consuming that it's so hard to even keep in touch with your best friends. You think there's a meeting every year that says, okay, what did this guy do in his life? No. Once you realize that everybody else is irrelevant, you can just focus on you. And that is the second problem, because you will always exist for you. And you have been trained to put 10-year goals. Where are you going to be in 10 years? What is your plan? How are you going to judge yourself as successful or as a failure? Well, that is the worst question anyone can ask you. Because if you have the same goals which you did 10 years ago, then you have stopped being human. Because evolution is not just chimpanzees becoming Homo sapiens. Evolution is taking in knowledge which you get every single day, understanding how the world works, understanding who you are, and changing your goals. You need to have the right goals at the right time. You can't keep comparing yourself to whoever you were. You're the better version right now. And once you realize that, you get to follow what you feel is the right direction today. And that's when you actually stay happy. Which brings me to my third story, because that's the last thing you'll need. And that is, you're going to need Smith's attitude. And this is my favorite one, so get ready. So just a few weeks ago, I got invited to this resort. I mean, as a travel influencer, that's the cool part. They call you to these places to see. So I got this invitation to go to this resort, and they had this jungle safari thing that they do. They take you and you can see tigers. And I'm cool with wildlife. I like tigers, but I just don't understand why people go and stalk them. I mean, I didn't get it back then. It was just not my thing. But then, again, following my own advice, I wanted to go and see how it goes. What if I learned something? And that is when I met Smith. Now, Smith is a 75-year-old man. He's from England. And he has two things that you should know about him. One, that he has never traveled in his life before this. And when I say not traveled, I don't mean not traveled internationally. I mean not traveled at all. Never been on a flight, never gone anywhere. But when Smith was young, he had a dream. Smith wanted to see a tiger. But his wife didn't buy all that, so he just let it go. He never went to see a tiger. But then his wife passed away, and his daughter came up to him, and his daughter said, "Dad, this is something that you really wanted to do. Like life passing you by, if you don't do this right now, then when are you going to do it? Get on with it." That's what she told him. And you know what Smith did? Smith took a flight from London to Delhi. Then he got in a cab and went to UP and Nepal border. And he was sitting right next to me at 5 a.m. on a chilly morning on a safari jeep, ready to see a tiger. Now, this was his third safari, while it was my first. And he had not seen the tiger in the first 2 days. And it's me, who couldn't care less about a tiger, suddenly I'm like, oh, okay, this is a story right here. And I love stories. I'm like, this guy needs to see a tiger. I just wanted to see a tiger so bad. And then we go out and he sees these beautiful animals, rhinos, deers, and and he's loving every moment. And we go meet an elephant, and the elephant puts this trunk on her head and gives her ashirwad. I'm like, this is all fun, but we haven't seen a tiger yet. And we come back, and that day we didn't see a tiger. And we used to have these bonfire sessions every evening. And he would sit in front of me, and I would be here, and the bonfire would be right in the middle. And through the flames, I would see his face, and that's how we would talk. And I spoke to him and I said, "Smith, I know that tomorrow you're going to see a tiger. Because this is how all stories end, with a crazy, happy ending. That's what we have been taught." I just knew, I had it in my gut. I knew you're going to see a tiger today. And all he said was, "I guess we'll see, won't we?" I'm like, "Yeah, we will." And I'm so excited. Next morning, I'm sitting in that safari. He's right next to me. It's chilly, it's foggy. We go inside that amazing, beautiful forest. Those sun rays are leaking through the side. And I could feel it in my bones that right at any moment, a tiger is going to come. We see elephant marks, and then we see a tiger mark. We see the marks of a tiger. It was just right here. And I know it. I know it is going to come, and it's going to be the craziest, beautiful ending and I'll be standing in some TED talk and telling people about this. And I'm looking right, I'm looking left, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and the tiger never came. Smith never saw the tiger. He chased his dream at this age of 75, and I was shattered. I was more shattered than when I wanted to be a cricketer. That, how is this possible? This makes no sense. There's no justice in this world. This guy at the age of 75 came to chase his dream. He's going back tomorrow morning. So am I. I have forgotten that this was a waste of a trip for me, and he didn't see a tiger. And I'm sitting in the same bonfire sessions right in front of him, and I'm looking at him, and I asked him, and I said it from my heart. I said, Smith, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that you didn't get to see a tiger. It just doesn't make sense. And what he said to me just blew my mind, and it's blown till this day. He said, what are you talking about? He said, I am a man who had never traveled in his entire life. At the age of 75, I do the craziest thing which I'll be telling my grandkids about. I walked the same place a tiger walked. I saw these beautiful animals I had only seen on TV. I breathed the same air that a tiger breathes, and maybe I didn't see a tiger, but I know for a fact that a tiger saw me. This was the greatest experience of my life. I cherished every single moment of it, and I'm thinking to myself that this guy has never lost in his life. He's never had a dark day because all he can see is the light. That attitude can take you so far, because it doesn't matter what I thought of him, that I thought he failed in chasing his dream. He was indestructible. So when you go out of this place today and you think it's too old, you're too old to chase your dream, or too young to chase your dream, or things are not looking right, or you missed the bus, just remember Smith's attitude. And if you see a path that looks too risky to take, it doesn't make sense, take that risk, take that chance, because universe took the chance on you, and those chances were 1 in 400 trillion. Thank you, everyone.